Ever had a grill that felt like a cheap impulse buy, lightweight, flimsy, and then when you tried to actually smoke a brisket, the temperature barely held a steady, low rhythm? I've seen a lot of people stare at those budget Kamado-style grills on a weekend sale flyer and think they've snagged a bargain, only to end up disappointed when the lid wobbles, the charcoal burns too fast, or the whole thing just becomes a hassle to clean. That hesitation is real, especially when you're weighing the promise of a ceramic Kamado against a price tag that suddenly looks too good to be true. If you've ever wondered whether there's a middle ground, something that actually delivers on the classic Kamado experience without the premium price tag, then stick around. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Kokomo Grill's Kamado ceramic barbecue grill tries to strike that balance. At first glance, it looks the part: a thick ceramic dome, a stainless steel cooking grid, and a built-in thermometer that promises you can finally trust the numbers you're reading. The biggest question, though, is whether these features translate into consistent, everyday performance when you're cooking for a family weekend or firing up for a backyard gathering. I spent a couple of evenings setting it up, experimenting with everything from low pork shoulder to high-heat sear on a steak, and I'm ready to share what actually mattered once the smoke cleared. Let's start with the basics of how a Kamado works. The thick ceramic walls are designed to retain heat and moisture, turning a simple charcoal fire into an efficient oven. For many high-end models, those walls are over 2 inches thick and sit on a cast-iron frame that locks everything together. The Kokomo version uses a single-piece ceramic body that's about 1.5 inches thick. In practice, that means you'll still get the slow-rise temperature stability you expect from a Kamado, but you might notice a slightly longer preheat time compared to the heavyweight steel rigs. If you're the type of griller who likes to throw a weekend party and expects a grill to be ready within 1,520 minutes, you'll need to factor in that extra 510-minute warm-up period. It's not a deal-breaker, but it does affect how you plan your cooking timeline. One of the practical strengths I noticed was the built-in thermometer. Most budget Kamados either skip a gauge entirely or give you a cheap, inaccurate plastic one that swings wildly with every breeze. Kokomo's stainless steel dial is cranked into the dome, and while it isn't a digital sensor, the needle feels solid and the readings stay relatively steady once the grill is settled. During a low pork shoulder run, the temperature hovered around 225 F with only a couple of degrees of drift, even when I opened the vent a few times to add charcoal. For anyone who's been burned by unreliable thermometers in the past, that analog consistency is a surprisingly comforting feature. The grill's internal layout also deserves a mention. The stainless steel grid folds down to provide a larger cooking surface when you need it, and the shelving system, 2 folding metal shelves, lets you stack a water pan underneath the meat while still having room for a side of veggies on top. This is a practical win for those who like to do multi-zone cooking. You can smoke a rib rack low down, keep a tray of sliced onions a few inches above, and still have space for a tray of potatoes on the top shelf. In real-world use, that configuration saved me from having to juggle multiple pans on a separate side burner. The shelves lock into place without a lot of fuss, and the stainless steel resists the typical rust that cheap grills develop after a few seasoning cycles. Now, on to the trade-offs. The first thing many seasoned Kamado owners notice is the weight. A typical high-end ceramic Kamado can weigh 150,200 pounds, making it a permanent fixture in a patio. The Kokomo grill is noticeably lighter, closer to 100 pounds, thanks to its thinner ceramic and lighter frame. That makes it easier to move around, but it also means the heat retention isn't as deep. On a windy day, I found the temperature dropping a few degrees faster than on my older, heavier grill. If you live in a region with unpredictable gusts, you might need to be a bit more diligent with vent adjustments, or consider using a windbreak. It's not a fatal flaw, but it's a hidden trade-off that shows up when you're trying to keep a consistent low temperature for an extended smoke. Another practical weakness is the ash management system. The grill comes with a simple ash drawer at the bottom, which slides out for cleaning. That's fine for short cooks, but after a long session, say, 4 hours of smoking, a full tray of ash can become heavy, and the drawer can become difficult to pull out fully. I ended up shoveling a bit of ash from the bottom before sliding the drawer out, which is an extra step most users don't anticipate. For those who plan to run big cuts or do